Hey guys, and welcome back to today's episode. And today we will be talking about loneliness, even when you're not alone. I know that might not make sense, but also at the same time, I also know that a lot of people feel it. You're surrounded by a group of people, and somehow you still feel lonely. Even if you're like with one person, you somehow still feel lonely. Now, today I didn't experience it, but I have I have in bigger groups experienced. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out if you guys can hear the motorbikes in the background. If you can, I'm very, very sorry. It's been something that's been on my mind recently because when I'm in big groups or when I'm with multiple people, I somehow still feel a little bit lonely. Not because I'm not being included, but because I'm going through quite a hard time and I have been for a while, but it got like a lot worse this week. Like so much worse. I found out so much information and it all piled on top of me in 24 hours and I didn't really have anybody to speak to about it. I felt extremely lonely and I've spent the majority of the week in bed and wallowing in self-pity, which isn't the best thing to do, which is why today I went out to London, which is going to be a vlog that will be coming onto my YouTube channel on Wednesday, so please do stay tuned. But obviously, with all of this, I still feel lonely. I just do. And well, some of that is me distancing myself from people, actively choosing to be alone. Some of it is literally just when I'm with my friends, I do not feel like I'm with people. I just feel lonely. I feel maybe like I can't even truly be myself. And this has been happening a lot to me recently. Don't really know how to describe it. Do not know what is going on with me. I just know that I am not feeling my best self, to say the least. I feel like you feel it more when you have so much stuff going on and you don't want to be the one to bring the mood down. That's what I've noticed. Because before all of this stuff unraveled on me, I could hang out with a big group of people and not feel lonely. And this week, wherever I've been, I felt lonely. Even if I'm like in the middle of a conversation with somebody, even if I am speaking to somebody, I still feel lonely. Girl, it's hard to explain because I am surrounded by so many wonderful people. I mean, for crying out loud, I if you don't already know, I go to Surf Society at uni, and one of the Surf Society guys came up to me literally this like Wednesday when I went out for Surf Society. They came up to me and I had to absolutely drag myself out of bed. I had to drag myself out of bed and force myself to go, but I knew that I needed to socialize because I hadn't been doing it enough. Forced myself out of bed, went to the surf social. When I was there, he approaches me and he says, "I love your podcast." I was like, "Oh, that's so sweet." Now, you would think that I would feel seen in this situation, and I did feel seen. I did. But even when I'm surrounded by people that are so sweet, telling me to, continue with my podcast, continue with my YouTube, because you never know how far it's going to take you, and you're surrounded with friends, and you're literally just talking about anything and everything, somehow there's this thing in the back of my mind that is like, I'm still lonely. Why? There's literally, I have not been lonely. I have not been alone enough to be lonely, but I still feel lonely, if you get what I'm trying to say. And I think I walked into 2026 thinking that 2026 is going to be my year, like you do every single year. Every single year. You walk in, you think, this year's going to be my year. And I kid you not, January has absolutely beaten me down. I am on the floor and I feel lonely, not great, and not exactly emotionally stable. But I'm still surrounded by lovely people and I just don't understand it. I've never felt less myself. But I am still trying to get better at that. I mean, I said that I was going to start doing things by myself. Now, I was a little bit optimistic on my last podcast episode. If you guys haven't already watched that, please do. But in my last podcast episode, I said that, I might go to London by myself. Yeah, no. I think I was a little bit too optimistic. I feel like when you're starting to first date yourself and you're starting solo dating, and to be fair, sometimes I feel less lonely when I am by myself because the only person that truly understands me is me. So I can feel understood when I am with myself. If I am not with myself and I'm with a bunch of other people, but well, obviously I'm always with myself, but if I'm with a bunch of other people, then I can feel more lonely because they don't necessarily understand what's going on and they don't understand where my headset is at. I don't know. I've just been thinking about that a lot, but I I decided to go to London today and I wanted to go like by myself. Couldn't do that. I could not woman up. Could not woman up. I decided to ask my friend yesterday and I said, "Hey, do you want to go to London tomorrow?" She ended up coming with me. And we went to London, we ended up shopping. I got this new jumper. I also got the new top that's underneath it. So if you guys are watching on video, you'll see the new top. But I got a lot of other things as well. And you know, sometimes shopping does make you happy and does fulfill you. I mean, I had a whole conversation with my mum literally yesterday as well. I I spent about gosh knows how long crying to my parents yesterday. I was on the phone to them and I was feeling extremely lonely. I was beside myself feeling lonely and contacted them about it. And my mum said one of the things that like really, really helped her was not necessarily spending money, but going to the shops and seeing what's out there. And I was like, you know what? That's probably gonna better my mental health and my mood as well. And it did. I feel like women are so easy to please. It is literally just shopping clothes, makeup, anything, anything and everything. So I did feel a little bit better today. I think today was a good start in the right direction considering the week that I have had. Still feel lonely. I do still feel lonely. And I think the annoying thing is about loneliness is it doesn't necessarily just go away. You have your good days, you have your bad days where you feel more lonely than others, but it never really goes away because, you know, the only person that will ever understand you and fully understand you is yourself. So, with that, I decided to take that into consideration and I'm going to start going to church again. That's another thing. I stopped going to church while I was in my relationship that's recently ended. I stopped going to church, and the reason that I stopped going was purely because the weekends was the time that I could see him. And I realized I kind of lost myself. And the reason that I lost myself was because I wasn't following God anymore. So I am going back into Christianity, you know, getting myself to church. Got that planned for tomorrow. Really excited for that. I spent probably about 2 hours the other day, maybe even more, just reading the Bible, highlighting new verses, annotating, and it really spoke to me all over again. It was like falling in love with Christianity all over again. And I realized that, well, some of you may not agree and some of you may not be Christian and some of you may be atheists, but what I have noticed is it is so much easier for me to feel less lonely when I have something to believe in. And in my mind and in my heart, I know that God is always with me. So even on my loneliest of days, He's with me. And that's provided me a lot of comfort. And I know that a lot of people, a lot of people might not be necessarily Christian or have any religion, but if you do, it's a good thing. It it's quite useful, and I've fallen back in love with it. I mean, I called myself a Christian for the entire time that I was in a relationship, but I think I only went to church like a few times, if that. So obviously I haven't been the best Christian out there in the world, but I am getting back into it because I need some type of support, and I don't think there is anything anyone can do besides me get myself into a church and build a community around me of like-minded people. And so this isn't necessarily me saying, oh, become Christian to build a community, but if you do start feeling lonely, Find something, literally could be anything. Find something that fulfills you and other people can just enjoy and as well, and like you can become a community, like build a community around something that you enjoy and something that you love. If you love, like, I don't know, if you love dancing, go to a dance class. If you love pottery, go to a pottery class. If you like painting, go to a painting class and build a community and people that are like-minded, because that is probably one of the best things that you can do when you are feeling lonely. It's not going to stop you from feeling lonely, even, even when you're surrounded by them, you're probably still going to feel a little bit lonely. But I promise you, it's going to help you in the long term, because having a community that's like-minded also means that there's a lot more support for you if everybody is kind of in the same mindset. I think the thing for Christianity is anytime that I feel lonely, I can say that to somebody within the community and they will pray for me. And I have had in the past some really emotional praying times, I guess, where they've prayed over me and I've actually cried because it's that emotional. Instantly makes me feel less alone. So find the people that will make you feel less alone and the people that are more like-minded to you. But it still doesn't change the fact that you do sometimes just feel lonely. So if you're sat down and you're watching this and you're having an extremely hard day and you're feeling really, really lonely, do something for yourself. Obviously finish watching this podcast episode, please. But do something for yourself. I don't know, get a coloring book. Sit down with a coloring book, color. If you like Sudoku, do Sudoku. Do something for yourself that makes you feel better. Brighten up your own day. Nobody else is going to do it for you. You have to do it for yourself. Now, I want to tag this whole loneliness feeling along with my chronic fatigue syndrome. So kind of like a little, I guess, joint episode. I am living a life that I never thought I would. I am, I guess you could say screwed with my abilities. I've got a disability, so I am, disabled. Not saying that I am actually screwed. I'm just saying that I'm not in the best health conditions. That adds so much to my loneliness. I sit there and I want to be going out and I want to be doing things and I want to be going to my lectures, I want to be seeing people, and there are some days where I have to cancel plans because I physically cannot get out of bed. And I have to grieve the life that I did have, because the life that I did have, I used to be a really energetic kid. I used to run around. I used to be, doing the monkey bars. I was always at play parks. I was running around happy, really into like walking up hills, hiking, all of this. Loved it to bits. I did it with my family a lot. And then I got diagnosed with chronic fatigue. Well, even slightly before that, when I had chronic fatigue and didn't know, I realized that my energy was completely lacking. I did not have the energy for anything. That made me feel lonely because it forced me to practically hide myself away, because what else was I going to do? I remember, not entirely sure if this is when I first started showing signs of chronic fatigue, because I have had iron deficiency in the past, B12 deficiency, vitamin D deficiency. I think I had like a lot of deficiencies. So I'm not entirely sure if this was related to chronic fatigue. But obviously recent blood tests have shown that I don't have any deficiencies and now I do have chronic fatigue. But in the past, when I've had these deficiencies in my blood, I do remember one time I was driving back. It was quite a long distance, not gonna lie. It was like a good 2-hour drive. And I stopped off at Diane and Tom's. And if you don't already know, they're my family friends. And I just remember feeling so tired and so fatigued that I fell asleep on the sofa while while Tomasz was watching YouTube with me. I fell asleep to the YouTube video. Now, Tom was really, really sweet in this situation. Like, he left the YouTube video running in the background and ended up playing some game on his, like, either on his TV or his laptop. I can't remember where the YouTube video was playing. But he kept it running because he was like, oh, I don't want to wake her up because clearly she needs rest. And I was like, yeah, I do. But I've had these issues and I don't want to be that person that shows up and ends up falling asleep. I can't be that person. It's not fun. It's not fun for me. It's not fun for them. But that's what happens when I exhaust myself. That is just chronic fatigue. There's definitely been times where it's been really, really difficult for me with my chronic fatigue. I mean, today I'm I'm doing this podcast. I'm filming, but I was nearly falling asleep on the train back from London. I had to keep myself awake, like physically force myself to stay awake. It's these types of situations that make me feel lonely. It's these types of situations that make me feel like sadness and an overwhelming sense of grief, because the life that I imagined is not the life that I now live. The life that I imagined was filled with energy, fun, joy, the hikes, seeing the world. And while my life can still look like that, and it does to an extent, it also involves lots of sleep. Another thing with chronic fatigue is you can get sleep reversal, and I struggled with this a lot over Christmas break. It's when you go to bed at like 4 a.m. and you wake up at 4 p.m. or 2 p.m. or something. It's sleep reversal because you are literally nocturnal. Yeah, I struggle with that as well, massively. Mornings are the most difficult time of day for me. Can hardly ever get up in the mornings. And I don't think anybody will properly properly understand it unless they have a chronic illness of any kind, because every single person with chronic illness deals with some level of fatigue, and fatigue is not the same as being tired. It's not. uh Fatigue is emotionally, physically, mentally disabling. Everything is like, I can't do it anymore. And when it comes to my emotions, I definitely feel that in terms of I genuinely don't think I can do this anymore. I've been like, what is my life? What is my life? Because it's not the life that I want to live, but it's the life that I have to live because I've got chronic fatigue. So that causes loneliness. And I think as well this week I've been so emotionally drained from the things that have been going on in my life that when I'm with a group of people and I've been hanging out with people, I still feel lonely because I'm so tired. If you get what I'm trying to say, I'm so emotionally drained that everything else in my life is drained as well. Like physically, I'm drained. Mentally, I'm drained. Emotionally, I'm drained. If we describe like energy levels as like a battery on your phone, you wake up with 100% one day. That's if you aren't disabled, you wake up with 100%, and by the end of the day you're probably at like 20, and you're like, oh, I should probably recharge, so I'm gonna go sleep. With chronic fatigue it's completely different. It's you can wake up anywhere between 80% and 5%, and your day could be completely screwed if you're on 5%. Tasks as well, if we're talking about it in terms of battery health, when you go on your phone and you get a new phone and your battery health is like 100%, which means your battery lasts for as long as it's supposed to. Then when you've had your phone for like 3 years, oh no, your battery health is like down at like 70, which means that the battery goes down, it depletes faster. Doing tasks is like that. So for a healthy person, doing a task could potentially mean, I don't know, your battery level goes down 2% from cooking food. It might be double that for a person with chronic fatigue or another disability, with like a chronic illness and like, well, any disability, but like it lowers a lot faster, it depletes a lot faster. That's really difficult to manage as well. And it does stop me from doing things. And when it stops me from doing things, and when it stops me from hanging out with people, or I have to say to my friends, oh yeah, no, can you just come over and watch a movie instead? I just feel lonely, and I feel like I'm not living my life to the fullest. In reality, I am just disabled, and I am struggling, and every day is as it comes. But I have to really accommodate that. It looks different every single day, so I have to accommodate it. Loneliness is just a really, really strange thing where stuff doesn't align, where you're hanging out with people and people might be not noticing you disassociating as well. I feel like the loneliness is also accompanied by disassociation, where you're in a situation, you're socializing with people, and you blank, you zone out, and you're either there scrolling on your phone, or you're literally just staring into a blank space in the wall. And that could also be like a social battery situation. Maybe your social battery is just completely depleted. But if you're feeling like lonely, and it's probably to do with that as well, like that it's usually accompanied by some type of like disassociating from a situation. And that's been happening a lot to me recently. I'll be sat down and I'll be like, speaking fine 1 minute and then the next be completely disassociated, and my friends be like, oh, what's happened? I'm like, disassociated. My B was just zoned out for a sec. But this happens often. This happens often, and it's loneliness. It just is. And I don't really know how to stop it. And it's weird and it's not nice, but I'm sure hundreds of thousands of millions of other people all feel the same way when it comes to loneliness. There are days where you are just alone. There are weeks where you go without seeing anybody. And I was again speaking to my parents about this, and my dad says he used to work away and they would go on like trips and stuff, and he never had anybody near him. Like, I think he was living with other people, but these other people would go away at weekends and he'd be there alone, or he'd have to go back home because he didn't want to be alone. And he said it's really difficult, because it is. It's really difficult. And I'm really, really lucky that my house here that I've got, the girls are all so sweet and I can go and socialize with them. They're practically here every single weekend, so I can go and socialize with them whenever I want. But even still, there's just moments where I don't want to, but like I feel lonely and I want to socialize, but I just don't want to socialize. How does that make any sense? But that's what's been going on through my head like this entire week. I think partly it's not that I don't want to socialize, it's that I don't want to bring the mood down. And I feel like I spoke about this last week. I swear I mentioned it, that you sometimes you just don't want to bring the mood down with people, even though you're not in like the best place. Like you're not in the best place, and so you act okay, but you're not actually okay. I mean, I did it today in London, to be honest. There were moments where I felt really shit, but I still kept on a smile, because who's gonna bring the mood down? It's not gonna be me. It's not gonna be me. But I do feel safe with my friend Diane. I definitely did speak to her about some things that, you know, quite emotional. But there's some people that you can't do that with. And I think that's the hard part, is when you are surrounding yourself with people that you can't necessarily be 100% and fully open with. Another thing is when you think you can be 100% and fully open with somebody and then they end up not being the person that you thought they were. You speak to somebody that you think you can trust and you think cares about you, and you're talking about all of these emotional things, and then they decide that you're not fun anymore because you're going through things. Now, I definitely have a lot of friends that have said like, oh, I know it's like been really difficult for you recently, so I know our friendship isn't like the exact same, and they're fine with it. There are some people that won't be fine with it, and you just got to accept it. But the real people are the people that stick by you when you're upset. So, yeah. There's so much stuff going on in my life at the moment, and I feel like this entire episode is a bit of ramble, but it is pretty much rambling, so I guess I can speak about whatever the hell comes onto my mind. I mean, yeah, I don't know. There's not much you can do about it in the end of the day. There really isn't. I feel like it's just one of those things where if you feel lonely, you feel lonely. And if you're surrounded by people and you still feel lonely, find somebody that you can be a little bit more open with and a little bit more yourself. If not, I don't know. There's really not much you can do. And that's the worst part, is you don't know how to fix it. And that's what I'm trying to learn how to do. I'm trying to learn how to fix it, because I don't really want to be feeling lonely all the time. I feel like this is a little bit more heartfelt and a little bit more open and a little bit more honest. And that is what I want to do. Pick your feet up, get moving, get outside, do stuff for you, because I promise you're not as alone as you think you are. You're going to find people outside. You could go to a coffee shop. You could go to a coffee shop and somebody could approach you, and you could end up having the most amazing conversation with somebody that you've literally never met before, but they approached you and you ended up having a conversation. And today on the tube, had a conversation with a woman, because we were all packed in this in this tube on the train. We were just packed. It was a swarm of people. Yeah, ended up having a conversation with her. Had a conversation with many people. You have conversations with people when you go outside, even if you're alone. Even if you go there alone, you're still probably going to speak to somebody along the way, even if it is a waitress or a barista or something. I don't know, a receptionist. You're still going to have a conversation with them. You could make somebody's day. There have been times in the past where I've stepped outside my house and I said, you know what, my mission today is to make somebody's day that little bit better. So I see somebody walking down the street and they've got like a really nice outfit on. I go, oh my God, I love your outfit. I think loneliness is also a mindset. And oh my God, I feel like I'm going back into last week's episode. But loneliness is a mindset and there's not much you can do about it besides get yourself out of that mindset and start making an effort with new people. Start making the effort, because if you don't make the effort, it's never gonna get better. So, moral of the story is step outside, go speak to somebody new, even if it's, I don't know, even if it's a waiter. Literally just say hi, ask how their day was. Anytime I get in the Uber, I have a conversation with the Uber driver. We end up talking about the weather, but hey ho, we're still having a conversation. And I think that's the beauty of life as well, is you can just literally speak to anybody that you want to speak to. Give that girl a compliment, give that guy a compliment, because who can stop you? Again, I'm back to the who can stop you. But realistically, the only person ever stopping yourself is yourself. And loneliness is also created by you. You feel lonely because you aren't actively trying to change that. Some days you just need to step outside, get a coffee, sit down with your laptop, do some work, even if you don't want to, even if you feel lonely. You step outside, because the minute that you get in the fresh air, everything starts to feel a little bit lighter. And I've noticed that this week when I've been spending every single day in bed. But the days where I did get out of bed and I forced myself to go out, I felt a tiny bit better, even if I felt a little bit lonely still on the inside and I wasn't actually alone. But yeah, disability plays a big role into it. Loneliness in general, everybody feels loneliness. It just comes in different forms for different people. I know this hasn't been the happiest of conversations. This is probably one of the deepest chats that I've had. I feel like I'm about to fall asleep, I'm not gonna lie. And I should have filmed this earlier during the week, but I have been in bed crying. Just being sad. So this podcast episode probably wasn't the most fulfilling, but I do hope you enjoyed, and I do hope that you realize that maybe even if you're feeling a little bit lonely, there's plenty of other people that are probably feeling the exact same way. And we all have stuff going on. You're never as alone as you think you are, because there's always somebody else going through worse, the same. Maybe their situation is slightly better than yours, but there's always somebody going through something. So you're never actually truly alone. You're just going through something that maybe somebody can't relate to. But yeah. Anyway, to get off of that topic, I do think I'm going to end this podcast here, because I really don't have that much more to speak about. I'm so tired. I've spent all day in London, and I realize that this podcast episode has to come out tomorrow. So I was like, oh, I am probably going to go straight to sleep afterwards. It is literally 10 p.m. and I feel like I want to just hit the hay, not gonna lie. So I'm gonna go, but I do hope you guys enjoyed, and I will try and come up with a better podcast episode for next week. And I will record it this week and actually do the stuff that I strive to do, instead of just say that I'm gonna do it and end up not doing it. Do stick around. I do hope you enjoyed. Love you all so very much, and see you in the next one. Goodbye, guys. Toodles.